Lord Jesus Christ. I'm heading out on vacation this Wednesday, and on Friday I'll be celebrating a wedding for my nephew in Saskatoon, and so that'll be great. I'll get to see a lot of family. It'll be like a bit of a family reunion, and then I'll head north to the family farm. And when I'm on the farm, I always look forward to doing actual field work with my brothers. But it's been over 30 years since I was home for the spring planting. But I have lots of memories of the spring planting, and none of them remind me of the gospel today, right? The way they were sowing the seed. Now, for any of you who've been around a farm during planting time, or if you're a gardener, you probably know that we put a lot of effort into preparing the soil, so that getting the soil ready, so that the seed will only fall on good soil. And so, you know, we till the soil, we fertilize, we add all kinds of things to enrich the soil, so that when that soil receives that seed will have the best possible chance of sprouting and growing and bearing fruit. So good soil is receptive to the seed and enables it to grow and produce fruit. Jesus' parable describes that unique type of seeding, yet we can grasp the scenario that he describes and grasp its spiritual lessons. First, that the sower is Jesus himself, and the seed is the word of the kingdom, the good news that Jesus proclaimed by all he said and did. And the good soil, well, it's basically a good disciple, a receptive disciple. And the bearing fruit is to become more like Jesus. So a good disciple wants to become like Jesus. A good disciple is receptive to all that Jesus said and did. And above all, a good disciple is receptive to Jesus himself. It's kind of like a positive feedback loop, right? So the more receptive we are to Jesus, the more we can bear that good fruit of becoming like Jesus. And the more we become like Jesus, the more we can receive him and bear even more good fruit of becoming more like Jesus, etc. In the parable, Jesus contrasts the good soil and with other soil types that are at various levels of receptivity. So the first soil is what was sown on the path. This one hears the word of the kingdom but does not understand it. So this person is not receptive to Jesus. So think, for example, of the Pharisees who rejected Jesus, and so they weren't able to understand his words. They didn't understand the significance of the good news he proclaimed. And so they didn't receive Jesus. They weren't receptive to him. They didn't engage at a heart level with Jesus. They did not become his disciples. So obviously, we don't want to be like the Pharisees. Right? So the very first thing to do is to be intentional about our receptivity, saying, Jesus, I choose to be a good disciple. Jesus, I want to bear fruit and to become more like you. I want you to be my priority. I want to listen to your word and understand more deeply the significance of your good news. Now, the second soil is the rocky ground. This is the one who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy, but when following Jesus gets difficult, they fall away. So this person is receptive to Jesus, but their relationship with him doesn't go all that deep. It's not well grounded. And it's kind of like, you know, we said about the soil. We prepare the soil. Their effort goes into getting the soil ready to receive the seed and to produce a fruit. So same kind of thing. It takes effort in order to prepare our hearts to receive Jesus. We have to work at it. We need spiritual disciplines like, participating at Mass or participating in Bible studies or prayer groups. It involves spending time in personal prayer every day, or attending spiritual events like retreats and workshops and all that kind of thing. And whenever we do that, whenever we make the effort to participate in this, it always pays off, right? There's always good fruit from that. We always deepen our relationship with Jesus. Now, the third soil, it needs some weeding. Right? This is the one who hears the word, but the cares of the world and the lure of wealth choke the word, and it yields nothing. So this person is receptive to Jesus, but they get distracted, right? From their relationship with Jesus. He is not always their priority, and so other things kind of take over. And you and I constantly feel this kind of a pull, right? That we have so many things and just so many things to distract us. We have all these opportunities. And if we want to spend time with God, sometimes we have to weed out these other things to make room. So, a good thing to do is to ask ourselves, well, how much time do I actually spend on spiritual content, right? And how much time do I spend on secular content, right? Like there's movies, books, news, sports, work, shopping, playing games, and other things. These things aren't necessarily bad in themselves, but if there is not time in our day for prayer and spiritual content, then we have to do some weeding of these things because it's so easy to be distracted. For example, have you ever said, I'm just quickly going to check my email or Facebook or chat or Amazon or something like that, and that quickly check turns into 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour and a half, right? It's so easy to be distracted. It reminds me of a quote from St. Augustine. He wrote, "God is always trying to give good things to us, but our hands are too full to receive them." Right? Our hands are too full to receive them. Our hands, there's so many things that we don't have time to be receptive to the things of God and spiritual content in our life. Here at the parish, we're so blessed to have forum.org, this abundance of wonderful Catholic content at our fingertips. But for me, and now I know some of you use Forum a lot, but for me, I have to make an effort to choose to go to forum.org sometimes rather than just, something mindless on Netflix or YouTube. So if you've never checked out forum.org, just go to our homepage, hit the search, and you only need to put in form, F-O-R-M, and it'll take you to that site. And I guarantee you the effort of doing that will be worth your while. Now, finally, we're back to the good soil. The good soil is receptive. This is the one who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit. To be good soil, again, we first need to be intentional in choosing to say, Jesus, I want to be a good disciple. And then we want to put in the effort to work towards that, to work towards being more receptive to Jesus and his words and to bear fruit. Again, it's that positive feedback loop. The more receptive we are to Jesus, the more we can bear that good fruit of becoming like him. And the more we become like Jesus, the more we can receive him and bear even more good fruit, that good fruit of becoming more like him. And on it